What do the Donald Trump Jr. revelations that he released this morning mean? Josh Kraushaar is the politics editor at National Journal and joins us now. Josh, supporters will say, look, Goldstone, he's the music promoter, he's just trying to help their friends with Donald Jr. Critics pointing to potential collusion, cooperation, and even perhaps conspiracy. Or was this just a naive move?
Well, look, the first rule of American politics, Politics 101, is never take a meeting with a representative of a foreign adversary who apparently was, according to these emails, was promising information about Hillary Clinton, about Trump's political opponent. This is about as much of a smoking gun as you can get, and the fact that Donald Trump Jr. released these emails was only because the New York Times was working on a big story that would be revealing the contents of these emails. So it's a very, very big bombshell that, you have these emails, you actually have the back and forth of Trump Jr. expecting to get some kind of information from what he perceived as someone representing Russian interests.
Yeah, let's take a look at what the email actually says. This one was from Rob Goldstone, saying, quote, "The Crown Prosecutor of Russia met with his father," that's Emin, the singer, the other friend, "and in their meeting offered to provide the Trump campaign with some official documents and information that would incriminate Hillary and her dealings with Russia and would be very useful to your father. This is obviously very high-level and sensitive information, but is part of Russia and its government's support for Mr. Trump." Well, Donald Trump Jr. writes back, "Thanks, Rob. If it's what you say, I love it, especially later in the summer." And a few days later, Rob writes him back saying, quote, "Let me know when you are free to talk with Emin by phone about this Hillary info you had mentioned earlier in the week," indicating they're clearly talking about it. Does this fly in the face with their denials, with saying that, there wasn't, we've always heard before until stuff started coming out, there wasn't any Russian connection at all, but here you've got these emails, and clearly the president's son thinking that he may get something, even if it's just from a friend.
Well, remember when the first statement from Donald Trump Jr. came out over the weekend in response to the New York Times reporting? They said the meeting was only about adoptions and about the Magnitsky Act. They didn't say, Trump Jr. rather didn't say anything about information surrounding Hillary Clinton, and he's later backtracked and had to revise and extend his remarks to incorporate the reporting and his own revelations that have come out. So this is PR 101, is you want to get the whole story out there, get the truth out there as fast as you can, and and be able to argue based on those facts. The problem is that Trump Jr. wasn't being fully truthful from the outset, and now we really don't have a whole lot of credibility on the Trump White House, at least from Donald Trump Jr. He doesn't have a whole lot of credibility to stand on, and now he's putting out the text of these emails that are quite, at least at first glance, quite incriminating. So this is a big political challenge for the Trump White House. It's a big legal challenge for Donald Trump Jr., who apparently willingly and eagerly accepted these meetings with a Russian official.
But his lawyer says nothing came of it. His lawyer says that there is no wrongdoing at all about this, because when they had that meeting, apparently, as she says, she didn't have any of this information. It was all, a red herring, apparently.
Right. There's a legal track and a political track, and I'm not a legal expert, but it seems like there's a lot of debate and discussion on whether anything illegal was done. But politically, this looks awful because, first the Trump White House claimed that there was no contact with anyone from Russia with Russia about the election, and obviously this email chain proves that to be incorrect, and it makes you really question the credibility of what's coming out of the White House and what's being put out in reaction to these revelations.
And there are others who say, the Ukrainian government tried to do this also against Donald Trump during the campaign. But one thing that's really intriguing, let me read that line again, that there was, quote, "information that would incriminate Hillary and her dealings with Russia." Do we know what that information, if there is any, actually is?
We don't, and we don't even know right now if that was what was discussed. We assume it was based on the expectations, but we don't know what was discussed in that meeting. Well, I'm sure that there'll be more revelations to come. But that when there's a lot of smoke, and there is a lot of smoke with this email, there's usually a little bit of fire to come as well.
All right, Josh Kraushaar of the National Journal. Thank you so much, and certainly it's been a big day on this front as Donald Trump Jr. has released those emails himself, he says, to show transparency. Thank you. Julie?
Thanks, Eric.